Jesus healed his servant, and we already know the story, but I'm going to read part of that story again here. It says in Matthew 8, verse 8, it says, "The centurion answered and said unto the Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof. But speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this man, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled, and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel."
Turn it off, Mama.
Now we all know that in this story there was a woman of the blood for 12 years that she had enough faith, she just touched the hem and he was healed. Then we see this centurion here, that a centurion of all things, a Roman centurion, who believed so mightily in Jesus that I'm not worthy for you to come to my house. Just speak it and it'll be. Now if we'll turn to Mark 6. We're going to start with verse 1. It says in Mark 6, verse 1, it says, "And he went out from thence and came into his own country, and his disciples followed him not. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue. And many hearing him were astonished, saying, From whence hath this man these things? And what wisdom is this which is given unto him, that even such mighty works are wrought by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, the brother of James, and Joseph, and Judah, and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended at him. But Jesus said unto them, A prophet is not without honor, but in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. And he could there do no mighty works, save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went round about the villages teaching." Now we have two different stories here. We've got one of a centurion who shouldn't believe. He's a centurion. He's a Roman. They've got their own set of gods. He shouldn't believe. But he believes so mightily that he tells Jesus, I'm not worthy for you to come to my house. Just speak the words and it'll be true. And then we've got his own people and his own that don't believe. And he can't even do mighty works there because of their unbelief.
Don't hurt.
So we've got two different instances that Jesus marveled. He marveled, one, at their belief, at the centurion's belief. And he marveled again at his own people's unbelief. So the title of my message tonight, if you were to put a title on it, will be, How Will You Be Marveled? How will we be marveled? See, all through the Bible, we've got all these stories of faith and belief. We've got all these stories of unbelief and lack of faith. And in our churches today, a lot of our problem is that our churches don't have the belief. Mark said it a while ago, we've got churches everywhere with the doors closed because they ain't got nobody in the pews. Well, a lot of that reason is because they don't believe enough to go out and do what they need to do to get people in the church. You see, our church comes up here, and our churches come up here, they get down at the altar, they pray, Lord, help me with this, Lord, help me with that, Lord, please take care of this, Lord, please take care of that. Then when they get up from that altar, they pick it back up, they put it back in their pocket, and they go. Or they put God in a box. They put him in a box. So we got a story of Lazarus. Jesus wept. A lot of people say, well, Jesus wept because his friend died. No, Jesus didn't weep because his friend died. Jesus knew his friend was going to die. They told him he was sick. He already knew that. He told his disciples he's dead, but it's for my glory and my Father's glory that he died. He didn't weep because his friend was dead. He knew his friend was going to die. It was deliberate that his friend was to die so that Jesus could come on the scene and raise him from the dead. What I believe Jesus was weeping for is because of the lack of belief people have. Martha run out to him, Lord, if you'd only been here, then you could have healed my brother. But I know whatever you say, God will do it. But she still put him in a box, see? If only you'd been here. And he tells her, he's just asleep. I'm going to wake him up. He's going to rise again. Well, I know he will in the day of resurrection. But that's not what he said. He said he's going to rise again. Well, then Mary comes out there, and what does she say? She says the same thing. If only you were here, you could have saved him. He wouldn't have died. Well, that's not how it works. You can't put God in a box. God created the box. The bubble that we live in that they call this world. He created it. It's his bubble. You can't put him in a box. So you've got these two women that's come out here and, oh, if you'd have just been here, if you'd have just been here. He is the Son of God. They know who he is. They've seen what he could do. And still, they put him in a box. And I believe that's why Jesus wept. Was because of the unbelief of his people. He already knew all this was going to happen. He was prepared for it. He set up for it. We got so many people in our churches now. I sat in church one day in Sunday school. Woman comes in. She says, hey, I need you to pray for my cousin. He's on dope, and he's on this, he's on that. He needs prayer. Well, no, I don't want none of y'all to go talk to him because it won't do no good. What? That's the kind of boxes that they put people in. They want to pray. Pray for them, pray for them, pray for them. But then they put them in a box. A box like, he can't do it. Well, let me help you to understand. If you're praying for God to do something, but you don't believe that he can do it, he ain't going to do it.
That's right.
So you put him in a box. They put him in a box. And for people, and it just burns me up that we have claim to be born again Christians that go to church. They're on the pews every time that the doors is open. Oh, pray for this, pray for that, but they don't even believe it. They don't even believe it. Oh, well, he's too far gone. You can't help him, but pray for him. What do you mean pray for him? If you don't believe that anything can be done, then why are you praying for him? No offense to anybody. I love for people to pray for me, but if you don't believe, please don't pray for me. Please don't. Because your unbelief in that prayer can offset everything. I believe that with a whole heart. If you don't believe, please don't pray for me. Because you can't put God in this box. And it burns me up to hear people, oh, well, he's on meth and there ain't no helping him. What do you mean there's no helping him? Are you trying to tell me that because he's on some kind of drugs or he's an alcoholic or maybe he's been to prison or he's a thief or who knows what he might be? You mean to tell me that he can't do nothing with that? See, you put him in a box. Oh, they've got to stop doing the drugs. They've got to stop drinking. They've got to stop this. Then you give them the Bible and they get saved, right? No. You give them the Bible, you give them the gospel, and then you let God take the pipe out of their mouth. You let God put the bottle down for them. That's the way it works. We can't expect them to stop and then give them the Bible. We got to give them the Bible first. Mm-hmm. And to put God in a box and say, oh, there's no help for him. Well, how dare you put my God in a box? Because you can't tell me that God can't take the black sheep of the family. You can't tell me that God can't take a drug addict, an alcoholic, somebody who's been to prison for all kind of things, and turn their life around and make something out of them. And I know this to be a fact because I'm standing right here in front of you. I am not worthy to be behind this pulpit. I am not worthy to go out and knock on doors. I am not worthy to do one thing for God or my Lord. But he chose me to do it anyway. If he could take a man like me, the lowest of the low, and put me behind a pulpit like this to give his word, don't put my God in a box.
That's right.
Do not put my God in a box, because he can do it. My God is the God of impossibilities.
Amen.
My God said, come to me, ask in my name with a whole heart, and you shall receive it. See, people want to ask for a whole lot of things. They come up here and they pray and they pray and they pray. But then when they leave, they take it with them. Instead of leaving it at his feet. Well, God can't handle nothing if you're going to handle it for him. Then you got people that they just assume that, oh, this ain't going to work, this ain't going to work. Well, if you just assume that the answer's no, the answer's going to be no. Poor Jay, for a long while there, he'd come to me and he'd say, hey, Chris, yeah, I know the answer's going to be no, but no. Well, you don't even know the question yet, but you told me the answer's going to be no. The answer's no. I don't need to hear the question. The answer's already no. He didn't say it. So they just assume that this is going to be what he does, Well, no, he didn't say that either. He's got a will for us. He's got a desire for us. And look, whether we like it or not, it don't matter if you believe or you don't believe, God's will is going to be done. He's going to do it with you, or he's going to do it without you. But life is so much better when he does it with you. So much better. And people put them in the box and, oh, well, this is the way it's going to do. Then they just assume that the answer is going to be no. For me, when I pray, I expect God, I expect my Lord to answer my prayers. Sometimes that answer is no. Sometimes that answer is yes. Sometimes it gets answered in a way that I didn't know it was going to be answered. But it still gets answered, and I expect it to be answered. I wake up every morning. I expect my Lord to take care of me, provide for my family, do the things that I can't do, that God has to give me the strength to do. I wake up every morning, that's what I expect. Because that's what he said he would do. In Titus 1:2, it says, for God that cannot lie. God can't lie. So if he said it in his book, it's true. Every word of it is true. But see, the problem is people don't read this. They don't know what the truth is. They know what some preacher somewhere has told them. They know what somebody else somewhere has told them. Well, you can't trust all of them. I mean, how many of these ear-tickling, broke-back preachers that we got running around here that, oh, they just want to tickle your ears and make you feel good because they want your money? Well, that's not what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to get up here. They're supposed to tell you the truth, what this says, and nothing else. And if it ain't in this, it ain't right. If it is in this, you can't go wrong. I had a preacher tell me one time, first time I started preaching, I said, I am scared to death. And I get nervous every time that I get behind the pulpit. But I was scared to death. He said, look, son, it don't matter if you get up there and you just read word for word out of that Bible for 30 minutes, it'll be a good message. Because you can't go wrong with this right here. You can't go wrong with it. So they put him in a box. Or they don't believe that it's going to be this way or be that way. Well, that's not how it works, though. You got to have that faith, that belief. You can't have faith without belief. You can't believe without having faith. See, we got these disciples. Doubting Thomas. You know who Doubting Thomas is? No, I'm not going to believe that unless I can stick my finger in his hands. But why did he not believe? Why did the other disciples not believe that he was resurrected until they seen him? They had seen the miracles. They had seen him walk on water. They had seen him raise the dead, heal the sick, heal the blind. They seen it. They still didn't believe it. Why? Because they didn't have the belief. They couldn't comprehend in their feeble minds what was going on. I have a hard time myself believing in my feeble mind some of the things that God is doing. The way that he works, sometimes in my own feeble mind, I just can't comprehend it. And I just have to step back and say, how did that happen? It happened so fast, I don't even know how it happened. Can't fathom how it happened. But it happened. So we got disciples that seen this all this whole time through of Jesus' ministry, they was right there the whole time. They still didn't believe it in the end. He walked on the water. He calmed the raging seas. Look, one thing you got to give Peter credit for. One thing you got to give him credit for. He might have took his eyes off of Jesus. He might have doubted for that split second and started to see. He knew who to holler for help, didn't he? He knew who to holler to for help. But here's the thing. Here's the point that I want everybody to understand. Out of 12 men on that boat, all of which had seen what God had done, what he could do, who he was, the power that he has. They're watching him walk on water as they speak. Peter says, let me come to you. Out of 12 men on that boat, Peter's the only one that stepped out in the water.
That's right.
The only one that stepped out into that water.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else would. He did stumble. He did take his eyes off the Lord and have a little bit of doubt and begin to sink. But we're going to do that. He says we're going to do that. We're going to fail. We're going to stumble. We're going to fall down. That's why he's there to pick us back up for. Just like Peter said, Lord, help me. What did Jesus do? Brought him back to the boat. Why did he do that? Because he loves us. Because he said that that's what he would do. That's why he was there. But only Peter got out of that boat. What would have happened if the other 11 would have got out of that boat? 12 men, he took 12 men, says it turned the world upside down. Now imagine what you could do with a whole church full of people that believe like the 12. For people that are willing to go the distance like the 12. See, the Bible says that we're actually in better shape than they are. We should be. Because they believe, because they seen firsthand. They seen it. They walked with him. They seen it all firsthand. We believe it because we heard it. Somebody told it to us. We read it. That's why we believe it. That, and if you are a true born-again Christian, then not only have you read it, not only do you believe it, but you have seen it and felt it work in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have truly seen it work in your life and work in your heart, then there's no way that you should not have the belief that he can do anything. If God can take the worst of the worst, put them behind his pulpit, if he could take Paul and make him who he was before he became Paul, and he can make him, he wrote most of our New Testament. He wrote most of our New Testament. But our problem in the world today is that our churches, our people, they put God in a box. This is what he can do. He can't do this. Well, you've already put limits on what he can do in your life right there. You've already put limits on what he can do in somebody else's life right there. And then you got to have enough faith when he directs you to do something, to do it. I got in trouble quite often when I was younger. I was the black sheep of the family. I was 12 years old the first time somebody gave me drugs, and it was my own family. So I done a lot of stupid stuff growing up. Done a lot of stupid stuff in my 20s. Had a man tell me one time, he come up and he apologized to me. I just got out of jail. He apologized to me. I said, what are you apologizing for? He said, I was driving through and I was driving by your house that day. He said, something I believe was God told me to stop talking to you, and I didn't. And I should have. Well, it's not his fault. What I chose to do it. But had he chose to do what God told him to do, I wouldn't have. Because I wouldn't have had the opportunity to do it. Because he would have been there. there's so many times that people are, well, I need to stop and talk to that person, or I need to go see this person. Look, you might think that it don't do no good, but if the Lord is directing you to stop and talk to somebody, or He is directing you to go see somebody, go do it. You might, that might be the time that they're in a situation. I was in a situation, I'd listened. I would have listened. But instead, it was many years later that I listened. You might be the one that might be the opportunity that you need, that God is directing you to save that person. See, when we get to heaven, it says we're going to be judged by the things that we do in this world. Well, I believe the things we're going to be judged by is the things that He asked us to do, told us to do, and we didn't do it. I believe that's what we're going to be judged on. If you don't believe that that person can get saved at that front door, they're not going to get saved at that front door. If you don't believe that that person can be helped, you're not going to be able to help that person, and we're going to pray and hope that somebody else who does believe goes to help that person. But that is the problem with our churches now. Nobody has the belief to do it, to listen to God. And that is our problem with our churches. They come in here, they sit on the pews, and they talk, and they listen, and preacher gets up and preaches, and then they get up and they come up here and they pray, then they come back out that door right there and they take everything with them. Look, I get it. I'm a man. I used to beat on my chest, and I got this. I can do this. Well, God had to take my legs away from me and show me I couldn't do it for me to believe it. He had to break me. That's one of those my wife will tell you. That boy back there, he's stubborn, he's bullheaded. He gets it honest because I'm the most stubborn, bullheaded one in the whole family. So he had to break me more than once to get me where I'm at now. Had to. And that's our problem, is our churches are not willing to stand with them. Okay, so this person, they're doing drugs. Bible says we're not to partake with them. But Jesus sat down with them. He eat with them. He talked to them. You know what's sad? I come to church. I go to other churches. I see a lot of people who they claim to be born again Christians. Hey, I hope that's true for them. I pray that that's true. You can tell a true born again Christian. You can tell it. Because your works will prove your faith. Works won't get you to heaven, but your works will show the world who you are. And if you don't have those works, I have a hard time believing what you got to say about it. But that's the problem. We've got a whole lot of all talk, no actual walk. But I'll go down to the mission and help out with banquets and stuff and things like that. And you know, it's sad to listen to born-again Christians in church talk. And you're like, man. Then you go down there and you listen to them talk. And you have this little old man that comes up to you probably, and I'm going to say probably in his 40s. He says, how you doing? I said, and I start talking to him. We start talking about Jesus, and he says, oh yes, Jesus has saved me. I know I'm going to heaven. He says, see right now, I'm here because of decisions I made. I've done it. I didn't follow God, so now I'm here. But even through all this, even through living everything that I've got, God still blessed me. Oh, yeah. Every day I get a meal. Every day I get a shower. Every day I get a bed. So even through all the mistakes that I've made and the things that I've done, God still blesses me every day. You talk about wanting to make a grown man cry. That touched my heart. That broke me down, made me want to cry. Because At that point in time, that man who was homeless, lost everything he had more faith in God than I had at that point in time. And everything that I get up and bring up here, and God's been talking to me about this for 2 weeks. He's been whooping on me for my faith for 2 weeks. He's been whooping on me for not doing enough for 2 weeks. He's been whooping on me, and then I found this the other day, and I'm like, okay, I understand now. How will I be marveled when he comes? How will New Hope Baptist Church be marveled when he comes? I got 100% faith that baptistry is going to be fixed in the next few months. I got 100% faith that within the next 6 months, we're going to see people getting baptized in there. I've prayed for it. I've asked for it. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I've been praying for God to wow me this year. I know what you can do, but just show me your glory this year. And I've seen things this year that I never would have thought I'd ever seen. But I've seen it. And it's only February. Fixing to be March. I still got 10 more months to go. I fully expect come November when it's Thanksgiving and everybody's sitting around the table talking about what they're thankful for, I fully expect to only be able to hit the high points because there's going to be so much to take all night. I believe that. But my question to everybody tonight is, how will you be marveled? How will Chris Ott be marveled? How will Mark Bowman be marveled? How will Billy Chastain be marveled? How will New Hope be marveled? Are we going to be marveled for our unbelief and our lack of faith? Or are we going to be marveled for our belief and our faith? Are we going to get a baptistry fixed and start seeing people getting saved and people getting baptized? Are we going to see our children's ministry grow? Are we going to see our pews fill up? Well, that all depends on us and how we get marveled. Are we going to be marveled for doing God's work and believing what He says and doing what He says? Or are we going to be marveled for the lack of? Are we going to be like, because the church is His people now, we became the sons and daughters of God when we got saved. It was His own people that He marveled at their lack of belief. His own people. So that tells me that the ones He's going to be marveling at for their lack of belief, it's the same ones that's going to be sitting on the church pews. That's what that tells me. So I just ask, how will we be marveled? Dear Heavenly Father, I thank You for all that You do, Lord. I ask that You take what you've brought here to me, Lord, and